Hello and welcome to another episode of Patents TV. I'm your host, Jeff Bond, and this is episode 64. It's also the third Tuesday of the month, and as I mentioned when we came on for this school year, the 2015-2016, that the third Tuesday of the month is actually what we call our featured solutions. We called it last year our featured vendor, but we thought it would be more appropriate to look at the solutions that we could actually use devices and software for the students in the state of Indiana. So that's what this episode is about. Today's featured solution is Adaptive Technology Resources Incorporated. And they've got two products that we're going to look at. The first one is going to be the Sonoscent Audio Note Taker. And it's really a nice product that I had actually saw at ATIA in Orlando this last year, and got a chance to kind of play around a little bit with it and sort of featured it in our February issue of Patents TV. And we're going to take a little closer look at that. Again, this is the Sonoscent Audio Note Taker.
We can't all do things in the same way.
Hi.
That's why it's important to help people who need to do things differently. But this is getting harder. Even though the number of students who need support is increasing, budgets for this support are decreasing. The challenge becomes how to provide these students with accessible, independent learning options and provide a cost-effective solution for administrators. We like a challenge. Yay! Sonoscent Audio Note Taker is software that's about creating independence, both for students and for those supporting them. It's a study tool for students who struggle with note-taking, which is both simple to use and simple to administer. This is how it works. The software chunks speech phrase by phrase, enabling you to use colour to highlight the most important things as you're hearing them. It's like a highlighter pen for speech. You can also organise your recording into manageable sections, like paragraphs. So now you know what you should listen back to. You'll never miss important information. You can focus on listening instead of on writing. And you can create your notes in your own time. And that's not all. It's easy to edit your audio. And you can add text, slides, and images alongside. When you're done, extract your colour highlights into a new file. You can also export your notes to view on other devices. Record from our free app, or import audio recorded from elsewhere. You can even use Audio Note Taker to capture online videos, webinars, and Skype calls. Administering Audio Note Taker couldn't be simpler. There are various license options available, including a loan license, which allows staff to digitally lend the software over and over again, with access to a web control panel for managing the whole process. Students can also download a 30-day trial from our website to see if it's right for them. Audio Note Taker is not only cost-effective, but also gives students control over their own learning. To find out more, visit our website or download a free trial yourself.
So here we have the Audio Note Taker. This is the tutorial, but it really can illustrate the sorts of things that it can do. And on the video, we really didn't see the real live version in action, so I'm going to take you through it here. It's basically set up, this is on a Mac, and Windows environment is fairly similar. We usually have our file edit kinds of things in Window and Help. But this one, again, we have three different selections here, and I'm going to go ahead up to play, and we'll just let this play for a second.
Welcome to Audio Note Taker for the Mac. We like to think of Audio Note Taker as being a bit like a word processor for spoken language. Not because it turns speech into text, but because it makes working with audio so easy. This tutorial will cover all the features of Audio Note Taker.
So I'll pause it there, and again, up in the upper left-hand corner, we have our play and record. So if I actually wanted to take notes, I could go ahead, hit record, and then it would start recording. So we've got our file over here, and again, we've got basically our notes. Let's go into the background a little bit and just take a look at some of the preferences that we can actually change. We can change the appearance with different colors and of the text color, the chunking, be the spots over here that are when we're recorded. We have the background color, and again we can use our cursor and so forth, and we have different shades. We have our color palette, so we can really adjust the colors to whatever the user's preferences are particularly. It has some audio file settings where you can slide it down for smaller files, or you can slide it up to high quality. And the smaller files would take up less space. The higher qualities would take up more space, but then again, you're looking at a difference in quality. We also have conversion formats that we can actually export out to Windows Media Audio or a WAV file. And we can do other things as far as speech quality and music quality and that sort of thing. So it gives us a history of the kinds of notes that we're taking, so we can go back and look at that. And then we have general, basically we have a crash, which is sometimes what happens with computers, as you all know. It'll automatically back up for at least 1 minute, and then we have automatic checking for updates in 7 days. So that's pretty much the background of it. We also have, we can skip forward and we can skip backward across the top. We can adjust the play speed to speed it up or slow it down a little bit. We also have noise canceling, so if you're in an environment where things are a little bit noisy, you can make adjustments for that. Here are the visual panels that we can actually turn on and off. And one of them that isn't turned on, image pane, and I just click that on, so we can actually bring up images if we have PowerPoints or those kinds of things. If we want to insert a picture, we can have it here. So we can actually toggle these things on and off and make adjustments accordingly. If we just wanted to have the audio, we can turn off the other three. We just have the audio, and again, we can turn them back on very easily. What's also nice about this, the chunking that I had mentioned about colors is if we find something that's important and we have our cursor on that point, we can actually highlight it just by clicking on it. So I found something important here that I really think is necessary. It could be on a test, it could be just whatever. I can highlight those. We can also select, again, the background color. Again, it makes it eye-catching, so while I'm in that particular thing, this particular section across the middle here, I can go up to this other one. Once I'm in there, I can make that a different color. So I can kind of divide some of the thoughts up. So again, as I'm recording this, I can kind of gear what I want to remember in certain ways depending on colors and those sorts of things. So I also have a presentation mode and so forth, which will be full screen. And so what it really does is, if I go back to recording, it's going to record my voice in those chunks, and that's what we would have over here. And then I can put in the notes and those kinds of things later on and make it, very customizable to my needs for my particular note-taking skills or necessities. So really, a neat program. The sound quality is really pretty good. Now remember that if you're trying to take the notes in the classroom, you might want to have an external mic that's omnidirectional or specific direction to whoever is making the presentation, because it would be picking up from my laptop and my speakers are behind my screen here, so it really wouldn't do a real good job of picking it up. So with that said, it's still a really nice piece of software. It also has some really good tutorials that are online, and I just wanted to go to YouTube real quick and show you a couple videos, or at least one little chunk. This one is actually broken up into 4 chunks, and so this one happens to be on capturing. Over on the right here we have annotate and review and engage, and they're only 2.5 minutes or so, but there are a variety of other ones down here where people have actually gone in and showed how they actually use the product. So, YouTube can be a really important component with offering some more insight as to how to use the product.
1. Capture. How to take live recordings and import audio files. We recommend that you use our software to take live recordings of lectures, meetings, classroom activities, brainstorm sessions and interviews. That way, you can quickly annotate your audio as you record, which will give you a head start when you come to work with your projects later. Start by opening a blank Audio Notetaker project from the Home tab and press Record. When you are recording, you should break up your audio into sections, which are like paragraphs. To do this, use the Sections button, or press Enter on your keyboard while your cursor is in the audio pane. Alternatively, record on your mobile device. Sonosant Recorder is our free companion app for recording and annotating.
So I mentioned we had 2 things to look at, and the Sonosant Recorder app is one of them that I have up on the iPad. And it's really intended for recording, but what's nice about it is it's portable. and you can get a little bit closer to who's ever presenting or who's ever doing the note taking. Again, if you need to have a mic put on it, you can do that, but it's really intended more for taking the notes more than anything else, or recording the audio component of it. And it's really pretty simple. I've got it pulled up here, and as soon as I hit record, it's going to start recording. And what I want you to take a look at is the way it chunks through what I'm saying. So I'll go ahead and hit record, and if you look at the top, you can see how it's chunking, and we also have a running time, so I know about how much time I've been using. And quite honestly, depending on the size of your audio file format, you can put a lot of information, a lot of recording on here, if you keep it down to a lesser quality. And again, if you really need the higher quality where you can kind of get a little better noise canceling, then that'd be the way to go. So off to the right-hand side, I can go in and I can make some changes to, again, those colors, what's important and what might not be. And I also have the option of going in and actually do some, adding some notes as well. So I'll go ahead and pause it. We've got down at the bottom, we have our record and pause, and we can fast forward or go to the beginning. And we've got our settings, preferences. So I'll go ahead and stop there. So it says I've gone 58 seconds. And again, if I wanted to highlight something, I can go ahead and say, well, I think this is important. The whole thing's important. Actually, I want to go in and go for review this particular spot right here. So I can highlight it and again, go back and review it. So if I play it, canceling, then that'd be the way to go. So off to the right-hand side, I can go in and I can make some changes. So I picked up right where I was. So I go to the beginning, go to the end. What's nice about this particular app is that I can actually upload what I've taken into the audio note taker. So I can import that as an audio file format, which I pointed out, and it works with Mac or PC. With the exception of the Mac, you can't directly transfer it from device to device using the wireless access component. You actually have to go into iTunes, import it that way. On the Windows side, there's a way to use Bonjour as a conduit between the iPad and the Windows side, and you can actually just import it that way once you put in that a code that will be generated by the recorder app itself. So, two components that work really well together. You've got your pretty much static device that you can go in and do a lot of editing or previewing or reviewing. And then you've got the portable component, which actually lets you do the same kind of thing, but I can take it anywhere. It's nice to have the iPad, but you can actually use it on the iPhones as well. So you've got a smaller handheld device as opposed to the larger iPad. The recorder app is actually a free download, so you can actually go in, download it, play around with it, kind of get a feel. The audio note taker, you can actually get a trial on that, and so it's about 30 days or so that you can actually try it. It's full functioning. So it gives you kind of an idea as far as really how it works. I'd suggest going through the tutorials or going to those YouTube channels and take a peek at how other people are using them. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Patents TV. Thank you for joining.